People have been recording and storing information for thousands of years. Each year, the amount of information stored increases at a staggering rate. The problem is, how do we track it down when it's needed?
Well, my personal problem was that I was basically suffering from stage fright, so that every time I thought about performing, I became nervous. When I left the orchestra, I decided to research the topic and to use the third-year essay as the means of researching stage fright to see if I could overcome my own problems. I researched through all psychological books, medical magazines, medical indexes, dissertations that had been written by other students, delving into autobiographies of great musicians who I knew had to very often cope with nerves and sort of, some sort of anxiety.
And nervousness or anxiety, so we'll put those in.
Right. Could we feed in behaviour modification at this point, please?
Right.
I wasted about 10 days ploughing through the library, and then I found out about the online research, and within 2 days I had all the information I could possibly ever want.
You've got a reasonable number of hits there.
Australia has traditionally used ships to resupply its Antarctic bases. This method is quite slow, and a faster way, of course, would be to use aircraft. You need ski aircraft, though, and they're very expensive. I'm researching the use of compacted snow so that runways can be made in Antarctica for use by ordinary wheeled aircraft. Research like this needs to be done quite quickly, and that's where online searching has proved so useful.
David Russell Head of the University of Melbourne carried out much of his Antarctic research using a computer terminal at the Baillieu Library on the university campus. In this case, the information which David Russell Head wants is stored on a computer some 12,000 kilometres away in California. Instructions are sent from the terminal to the computer via standard telephone links. The computer searches through its store of information, then sends back whatever the researcher has asked for. Information is now stored on computers all over the world, and much of this is accessible through the use of terminals in Australia. Within each computer, information is grouped into what are called databases, covering areas such as engineering, medicine, art, history, the biological sciences, the social sciences, law and education. So how does one actually use a terminal to search for information?
I've looked at the Antarctic bibliography for some keywords, and these seem to be the most relevant. Airfields, runways, ice roads, snow roads.
The search is based on a system of keywords. The keywords are entered and the computer searches its document records.
Permafrost.
No, I'm not interested in permafrost.
So we want snow. We want to combine with snow.
Yes.
By trying various combinations of keywords, the search is narrowed down to just a few titles.
Oh, these look good. Actually, that one's
That
pretty good, but even this one I think would be
Will it?
quite good to look at. Can we have a look at this one? Techniques for
Yes.
measuring the strength characteristics of natural and processed snow.
No. That one there, number 5.
Yes.
What the researcher now has is a comprehensive list of references in his specific area of interest. It's taken less than 10 minutes to search through a database of approximately 100,000 entries. This contrasts markedly with the amount of time and effort that it can take to compile a list of references by traditional methods. Manual searching would be out of the question for a high-technology company such as Varian Tektron. Dr. Chris Mullins.
All of the spectrophotometers manufactured here at Varian Tektron are used extensively throughout Australian industry and research, and by customers as diverse as the RAAF and hospitals. Something like 1 out of 10 of every product is sold to the Australian market, but by far the larger number go to satisfy the export drive. Something like 9 out of every 10 products are sold overseas. R&D is a very important area for online data searching, but it's also necessary for us to keep track of what our competitors around the world are doing. In just a few moments, we can learn the activity of our major American competitor and learn what important mergers have taken place in the industry over the last few weeks. Patent searching, too, is another useful application of online data searching, and we've been able to save many thousands of dollars of research and development money and considerably shorten R&D project time by learning what important technological developments have taken place in the industry. There's been a bit of quality, I believe.
Why is it then, if online searching has so many advantages, that some people seem reluctant to use it? Peter Judge of the CSIRO.
Part of the problem is that people don't realise the potential of these systems. There's perhaps even an element of distrust of computers. But the point is that the computer will search for information in the particular way that the researcher tells it to. That's where the combined skills of the researcher and the operator of the terminal are really rather important.
Alison Holbrook of the Australian Council for Education Research.
One of my particular areas of research interest is the effect of handwriting on the marks awarded to student essays. During the course of my research, I used online searching extensively. One of the databases I used was the Australian Education Index, which is on a computer in Melbourne. I didn't actually do the search myself. I took that job to Margaret Findlay, our librarian, who has the expertise in that particular area.
We've linked measurement with handwriting, and you can see that we've now got 4 documents in the database which might be of interest to you.
It might not seem cheaper at first glance. After all, a search could cost anything from a couple of dollars to $200 or more. But then, if the alternative is somebody taking a week to dig out the information by ordinary manual methods, then the cost of searching is a week's salary. Now, I'm not saying that online searching is desirable all the time, or entirely by itself. It has to be integrated with other methods of searching as part of one's overall search strategy.
Nowadays, there are terminals everywhere. University libraries, college libraries, public libraries, and government departments. It's much easier now for people, even private individuals, to have access to a terminal. There are commercial information brokers, as they're called, who provide online searching services. And in business and industry, many firms have taken the step of installing their own terminals. Peter Guy of the stockbroking firm of Cortis & Carr.
We subscribe to a Canadian computer bureau, and at this minute we are hooked up to their computer in Toronto. This gives us access to data which is only hours old, a huge database consisting of share prices and interest rates and many other things. And we can not only access the data, but we can use our software to also do graphs of that data. Most of the graphics we do on the computer graphics system we wouldn't even attempt to do manually, not only because of the sheer volume of the data involved, but also because of the complexity of the calculations. If we tried to do some of these graphs manually, the delay in getting the graphs into the hands of our clients would be so long that the use would be very limited. In addition to the system here, we can use a portable computer terminal to access into the system from anywhere around the world.
Presenting information as graphs or diagrams can be easily combined with online retrieval. Joyce Spark carried out research for her master's degree at the Victorian College of Pharmacy. Her interest was to identify drugs that could be used to combat malaria, cancer and bacterial infection. She obtained information about the structure of molecules from a database held on a CSIRO computer. A program on the college's own computer converted the information into structural diagrams. The database can be used to identify a molecule, or, if that's not possible, to look at molecules with similar structures.
Online searching is really of immense value in research, and I'm sure that as more and more people become aware of this, the use will increase even more. One of the reasons for this, of course, is that as the university students who are being exposed to these techniques in university come into the workforce, they bring these new habits of information searching with them. And, of course, even secondary students are now getting exposed to computers, and this is going to change the whole world we live in. But perhaps a final point. The purpose of a computer isn't to give us more information. The computer is dealing with far more information than ever we've had before, but it's the power of selectivity that we're using here. What we want from it is, in fact, less information, but so much more relevant.
It's not a new technology. It's been around for years, but the proliferation of terminals has made it more accessible than ever before. And the provision of cheap national and international lines of communication has made available a massive amount of computerised data to a wide range of users.